come through, and then we'll go ahead and get started here. One second, guys. Thank you for your patience here. All right, I think we are almost good to go. I'm just waiting for the connection on my end. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everybody. Looks like there's an ad playing, which means the live stream is currently active. If you could just drop a quick comment in the chat, let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me know if the audio and the visual is okay, and then we'll go ahead and jump right in. I think we're good. Hello, Satva. Yep, I think I hear myself on my end. All right, so guys, welcome back to another live stream. It's been a minute. I've been super busy, so I'm sorry that it's been so long since I've last live streamed. One of the things I've been really focused on and working on just kind of in my free time here and there is these kind of aerodynamic physics simulations, and I've just been having a ton of fun with like just playing around with different ideas. So that's kind of what this live stream is going to be about. As you can see here, I kind of have this procedural shader that I mentioned in the title. Basically, the way it works is it's a combination of geometry nodes and regular shader nodes. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of do a quick demo for you on how this works. Basically, I have a plane. I'll just go into solid view. I have a plane and I have a few objects right here, nothing too crazy. And the way that this works is I'm basically using a proximity kind of map range node with geometry nodes. So I'll go ahead and show you that setup right now. So if I click on my plane here, you can see that we kind of have these flow lines around our object, which is kind of like what I'm going for, like sort of this wind tunnel effect. And there's really not much to it with geometry nodes. So I'm just going to go ahead and expand this so you can see. Basically, we just have our object info being fed right into a proximity node. And what this is going to do is it's going to look around our object and kind of see what's nearby it. And then it's going to sort of, it's almost like there's this barrier around the object. And we're going to take that barrier and use it to use a map range and a float curve and of course an add node to actually feed into our shader. So all of this information is being fed into our shader, and then we can take that data and do something with it. And you'll see if we go over here, you can see that this is our shader. Now this took some experimentation to kind of get it the way that it is, and we'll come right back to that, but I do want to kind of show you how this works. So when I'm in rendered mode here, you can see if I move my object around, just go ahead and move it down. It's a little bit glitchy, but you can kind of see how these lines sort of flow around the object. Again, this is something that's still in my like experimental phase. It's not, 100% perfect yet, but I'm sort of looking for a shader rather than physics simulation that will actually fake our flow lines for us. And this is something I've talked about in the past. Now, what's awesome about this is that in its current state, I can select any object with my geometry nodes. If I just come down here, you'll see I have my object info node. If I X out of that, I can go ahead and select another object. I'll just go ahead and select this cube here, which I kind of modified a little bit, and I'll throw this in here. And I'll go ahead and take our torus out. Now you'll notice that as I move this object around, our flow lines sort of adapt around, right? They kind of adapt around the object, and that's kind of like the look that I was going for. One of the things that I've been struggling with a lot is how to kind of simulate turbulence. You can see that I've sort of accomplished that right here. Like, I might have some turbulence here, some flow lines that'll get interrupted by this sharp corner, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. This is something that like I said, I've just been really, really fascinated with. So I'm going to show you guys a few other examples of kind of how this works and some other projects that I've been working on. And this is kind of going to be like a free live stream. Like, we're kind of just going to experiment. There's really nothing strict about like this timeline or what we're going to do, but I just really wanted to live stream today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a few other projects, and we're going to go through some of the things that I've been working on. All right, so this is another project. This one is going to look somewhat similar to the one before. It's going to look kind of complex, but it's really not. The way this one works is we're actually just using modifiers rather than shaders to sort of simulate what it could look like for a complex object with flow lines around it. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce the subdivisions on this so you can kind of see what's going on. So really the way that this works is there's a Boolean, right? There's a Boolean and there is a wireframe modifier. And as this object, or really any object that you want to, kind of flows around these flow lines, you can see that it kind of gets interrupted on these edges here. And again, I'm just kind of looking for like a procedural way to showcase how air would flow around an object. And I think I'm getting kind of close to something that may not be physically accurate, but at least looks cool. So this is kind of another thing that I was experimenting with. You can see this is kind of our 3D view here. I was just in my top-down view, but you can see how if we increase the subdivisions, you can see how you sort of have these interruption lines here. And again, this is kind of what I was going for. I'm going for something that looks like it's being interrupted in a natural way. Like I really liked how there was these like intersective points and like kind of some compression here in these downfall areas of our kind of goldfish shape, whatever this shape might be. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys another project I've been working on, and then I think we're just going to create a new one from scratch based on a previous idea that I had. All right, so here's another one I've been working on. Let's go ahead and press play here. So if we go into our wireframe mode, you'll kind of notice we have these sort of flow lines kind of intersecting with our sphere here. Again, this is something I've been experimenting with. So what we're going to do today is we're going to create something from scratch. Our goal is maybe not necessarily to create a shader, but just to at least create something that sort of simulates flow lines, which is really ultimately my goal. I've seen a lot of different projects done before. I don't know that they're all necessarily physically accurate, so my goal is just to create something that's visually interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead and start out with the sphere here, and I'm going to show you guys the process that I used last time. We're going to add in a plane. I'll just scale it by the Y. We're just going to basically make this really thin strip right here. Perfect. All right, so we have a thin strip. I'll tab into edit mode. Control R to add some loop cuts. We'll just add a few loop cuts to this. Okay, now one of my favorite things in Blender has to be dynamic paint. So I'm going to go ahead and add a dynamic paint modifier to this. And I'll choose type canvas. I'll click on add canvas. And then for my surface type, I'm going to choose displace. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on my sphere, add a dynamic paint brush, click on add brush. Now when we move this up, you'll notice we actually get some displacement. However, it's displacing in the wrong way. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust my displacement factor to go the opposite way. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a smooth modifier. Okay. We're going to go ahead and smooth this out a few times here. And now you'll notice that if I move this around, it's sort of flowing around our object as if it's an airstream. And this is kind of the look I'm going for. I'm going to subdivide this one more time so it's a little bit smoother. And this is the basis of how I created my last project. Now, here's what's really fun about this. When we go to our dynamic paint settings, we can go ahead and click on the dissolve factor. And I'll just choose 100. And what this is going to do is it's going to snap back to its original position. So if I press play and I move this, notice how now we get this kind of like almost animated effect, right? It's almost as if it's reacting in real time. And this is really what I'm going for, right, with this sort of effect here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and duplicate this a few times, and we're going to experiment and see what we can do and what we can actually make of this. Now I'm just going to do this in edit mode. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down on the X a little bit. I'm going to move this up. Okay, and I'm just going to duplicate this on the Y. Oopsies. Sorry, on the X. I'll do that a few times. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here. And now you'll see we kind of have this more like 3D effect. Like this is really ultimately what I'm going for. Now you can go ahead and rotate this on the Y, right? You could have something like this. But you can see that sort of towards the center, it doesn't really give us the same effect. Now, if I press play here, now look what we have, right? We kind of have this wind tunnel effect, which is really what I was going for. Now, we went over this in like a previous live stream, and I really think this is like kind of the right approach to how we could go about getting these flow lines. And this is really something, like I said, I've been experimenting with for a while. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade everything smooth, give this a quick save. I'm going to call it Flow Lines Dynamic Paint. And I think we're going to kind of experiment from this point forward and try to build off of this. Another thing I think I'll do is probably increase my smoothness here. Yep. I just really want those flow lines to be nice and smooth. Now, again, you're going to have to be in timeline like play mode here to actually get this to work. That's so awesome. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what if you want the lines to go kind of all the way around? Well, you can definitely do that. One thing you can do is you can just straight up duplicate these, right? Duplicate. You can go into side view here. I'll just rotate these, right? Something like that. And then I'll duplicate them again on the X. Now, when you duplicate them on the X, though, you're going to need to reverse the dynamic paint to plus, what is it, 0.31? Right? So you're going to need to reverse it on the other side. Okay. There we go. And now when we press play and we move this, you'll notice that all the flow lines all the way around are being adjusted in real time, almost real time. You can see this displacement factor is a little bit heavy. We're gonna go ahead and reduce that. There we go. But what's really cool is if I animate this, like if I start my sphere all the way down here, press I, go maybe to go to frame 60, I'll go to here. Go ahead and play this back. Now we have something that looks like that. Now when you look on the side view, you'll notice it does sort of look like this wind tunnel effect, and that's really kind of what we're going for. So we're going to kind of expand off this a little bit more. Again, this live stream is going to be sort of just open-ended. There's really going to be no main goal, but we are going to be kind of sticking to like a physics category here. We're going to be sticking to, here, let me just loop this while I take a quick sip of coffee here. So we're going to be kind of sticking to like a physics category here, and we're definitely going to be sticking to something that has to do with aerodynamics. Thank you guys for your patience. Okay. So again, like this is kind of what we have so far. Now you're also probably thinking, well, is there a way for these to like converge at the end? There is. One of the things that you could do is you could adjust the displacement factor. So I'll just like really increase this displacement factor here. I'll do the same thing over here. And I'll do the opposite, well, same but opposite over here. All right, now let's go ahead and see what we have. Now you'll see it's like a much more intense kind of curve there, right? So if we look from the side view, looks like that. This is kind of our front view. But again, this isn't going to be necessarily physically accurate. But if you're going for something where maybe you have a car or a more complex object, this is going to look pretty cool. Let's go ahead and I'm going to try something real quick. I'm going to go ahead and take our sphere. And let's just like extrude a few of these faces here. Let's go to our side view. I'll just extrude like these faces here. I just want to see if this works, and it should. Yep. So notice how that kind of spiked up there. That's because on this side, right, we have a much more pronounced effect because of that little fin that I just created. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Now you'll notice there's still some intersecting points here, right? If we look right here, we're getting some intersections. So that's something that I would aim to fix. Another thing that I've experimented with that I think you guys will find interesting is the shrink wrap modifier. You're probably already thinking in your head, well, why don't you use a combination of dynamic paint and the shrink wrap modifier? So let's go ahead and let's set up another demo real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and move all this. I'm going to hide all this. I'm just going to make a new collection. Oopsies. I'm going to go ahead and add in another sphere. Oops, wrong sphere. Go ahead and add in a mesh sphere. There we go. And then I'll just go ahead and add in a plane. All right. And we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to scale it on the Y. And I'll just add a few loop cuts here. I'm going to add more loop cuts than I added last time because I noticed I didn't add enough. And then let's go ahead and try our shrink wrap modifier. Or is it deform? Shrink wrap. There it is. All right, we're gonna go ahead and shrink wrap it. Now you'll notice right away it kind of snaps right to this, right? There is an offset. The difference with the shrink wrap modifier is it kind of stays with our object. So that's kind of the downfall to the shrink wrap modifier. But if we use it in the right combination with other things, we may be able to get a good result. So let's go ahead and go through some of these settings and see what we can do. Outside surface, no, not what I'm looking for. Above surface, nope. See, this is a little bit more promising because you can see it kind of follows around our object, but again, it's still kind of sticking with our object there. One of the things that you can do, I believe, with vertex groups is you can adjust the influence of that object. So we could try that as well. Now, I do want to try one more thing because this is something that I actually really thought was cool. I did this a while ago on a tutorial on my own channel, so we're going to go ahead and try this. I'm sure you guys are familiar with object constraints, right? I'm going to go ahead and add an object constraint. I'll just do, what is it? I think it's stretch to. Yep, we'll stretch to the sphere. Now you'll notice no matter where I place this, it's going to go ahead and stretch. I'll go ahead and duplicate it a few times. We're just going to like duplicate it a bunch of times. Now it already has the same constraint, right? I'm going to duplicate this on the Z. Now, one thing that I really thought was cool about constraints, right? They are going to point to the same thing. I actually feel like there could be something we could experiment off of through constraints to kind of get a sort of aerodynamic look. Look, you can notice even as I turn this, right, we almost get this aerodynamic effect, almost magnetic field type of effect. That's another way I could have gone with that shader, right? We could have created a magnetic field sort of simulator. But notice how since they're all pointing towards the same thing, we sort of almost get this physics-like effect. I'm going to go ahead and scale them down a little bit. I'm going to scale them on the Y. Sorry, the Z? Yeah, that's fine. And then I'm going to duplicate them, and I'm going to do something like this. Okay, there we go. Now we really have something going on here. Now look, you sort of have this much more pronounced effect. I'm really interested to see if this could be something that, let's scale it down a little bit. This could potentially be something. Now look, when we go to our side view here, or we go to our wireframe mode, right? Look at that. They're all pointing towards the same thing. Again, I'm just kind of experimenting here. I'm sorry if I'm boring you guys, but I really am fascinated by all this stuff in Blender and how it could potentially be used to simulate physics, more or less. Now, if they were facing, so what would be really interesting, I want to see if we can do this. Let's see. Let's go ahead and scale these down even further. Again, I'm just kind of squishing them. I really want to see if we scale them this way. There we go. Let's go ahead and duplicate them here and here. Again, this is a lot going on here, but let's go ahead and just see what it looks like. Let's turn off our overlays so we can really see this. Look at how we kind of have these like flow lines in a weird way. It's not very organic, right? It's not very random, but as I look, I realize that something could be done here. Now let's go ahead and put this a little bit closer to our stack. All right, so now, see, now we're getting somewhere, right? So now that it's in the middle of the stack, look at what we have now, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling like this we might be getting somewhere with this, right? Thoughts on this? I'd be curious to get everybody's thoughts on this real quick. I'm going to select every single cube. I'm going to scale it down a little bit more. Again, you probably ideally would not want these to be the way that they are right now, but as we, let me go back, as we move this around, you almost get this sort of aerodynamic effect. Let's turn off X-ray mode. How are we doing in the chat here? Okay, we only have 2 comments. That's okay. Hey, 26 people are still interested. I will take it. I will take it. What is everybody's thoughts on an approach like this? And I do feel that the cubes need to be, okay, I know what it is. Let's go ahead and highlight all the cubes, right? Now let's go ahead and change them from their individual origins. There we go. So I just scaled them down from their individual origins. Let's go back to bounding box and good. So now we really have something interesting, right? I find this stuff highly interesting. Everything's pointed to the same thing. Now let's try one more thing to give us even more of a 3D effect, as if Blender isn't doing enough already. Okay, so I have a lot of these now. You'll notice that from different angles, right, there's a lot going on here. It's kind of hard to see. Now we sort of have this really, really 3D effect. See, you could probably set something like this up in geometry nodes. I'm almost positive, right? I don't know if there's a point to attribute. I could probably ask ChatGPT because I've been kind of using ChatGPT to help me out with all my projects. The only difference about this is all this is really doing is pointing to the object itself, right? It's not really calculating for the edges of the object necessarily. Although when we look at this top-down view, quite interesting. It almost snaps into itself. Like they're almost pointed like inwards as well. I wonder if scale would have anything to do with it. Object, apply, scale. No, not much. It's really just looking at that origin probably is where it's pointed to. But look at that. It's almost like this magnetic simulation. I'm just fascinated with this. Let me get some thoughts in the chat. For anyone who is currently watching, what do you guys think of this approach? Is this something we could experiment with for with geometry nodes? Someone said, woo! Hello, Satva and Eamon Games. Good to see you guys here. Again, sorry guys if this is a boring topic, but I find this stuff absolutely fascinating. Another thing we could experiment with, let's just go ahead and make a new file. We're just gonna make a bunch of new files today. Let's go ahead and add our sphere back. And I'm just adding a sphere. I'll just do an icosphere, that's fine. I'm just adding something so that we can experiment with the actual physics themselves. Let's go through our constraints. Let's add in a cube. Okay, and let's go ahead and add an object constraint. I just want to take a look at these. It would be really cool if there was a way to sort of point to it, but like almost curve around it. Again, let's do this. Let's do stretch 2, right? And we'll go ahead and make it the cube. Let me see something. What if we do stretch 2 and let's subdivide the cube a couple times. We also do shrink wrap. I want to see something. Let's do above surface, outside surface, above surface, offset. Interesting. Okay. Thoughts on this? Not much activity in the chat, but that's okay. So like with something like this, it's weird because I don't even know that you need the stretch to. Let's go ahead and see. Let's see if it makes much of a difference if we turn the influence down. Not much, not much. Whoa. Okay. Oh. See, now I think we're getting, I know this doesn't look like much to you guys on your end, but I think now we might be getting somewhere. Because notice how like, it almost diminishes itself. Hold on, I think I might have an idea, guys. Let me think. Let's go back to our modifiers. Let's take a look at this. Project, no. Oh. Let's add a smooth modifier. Let's just try it. See if it smooths anything out. Which it should. Interesting, interesting. Again, I don't know what we're looking at, but I kind of feel like there's something there. I know this sounds weird, but I do feel like there is something here. I just don't know what it is. Where's our offset? Let's try something here. I know nothing about geometry nodes. I'm sculpting while watching. It's pretty cool, dude. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, let's try this. I'm gonna go top-down view. So this already has the modifier and the constraint. Let's go ahead and duplicate these. Again, this is gonna look weird, but like this is part of the like experimentation phase, which is my favorite part because it's like you discover like new things. Look at this one in the middle. It's really struggling here. All right, let's brainstorm again. I want to go back to the drawing board. I wish I had a tablet so I could actually draw. I'm gonna open up an old project file to get some inspiration because I had one that was really close to kind of like what we're looking for here. Is there a way to make these thumbnails bigger? Oh, that's a nice new feature. By the way, this is the new version of Blender for those who aren't familiar. Download the new version. It is really nice. I think that's a feature that maybe I just have never used before. Let's go ahead and scroll through here and see if we can find my old file. Oh man, there's just so many fun files in here that we could open up. But I don't want to get too sidetracked. I really want to go back to... All right, I'm going to get very quickly sidetracked, guys. I apologize, but I do want to show you something I was working on. There's a new node in Blender called the Gabor texture. Or at least it seems new. It was in their documentation. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. I was working on sort of a fabric kind of material here. This is something that I think could be really cool. I kind of just stole their nodes from the website, from blender.org, and I kind of modified them so that the background was transparent. If you want to check it out, let me just consolidate these a little bit. There we go. All right, so if you want to copy the nodes to get this texture, here they are. Go ahead and take a quick screenshot. I don't know if that's big enough. Hold on, let me zoom in more. This isn't by any means a completed product, but if you do want to replicate this, you can. And I'm just kind of showing you guys stuff that I've made. I do want to go ahead and work together with you guys to figure out this aerodynamic simulation because I still think that it's just so much fun to mess around with. The closest that I've gotten is probably like this shader or the dynamic paint approach, but there was another one that of course now I can't find. I'll search through my downloads, but I don't know if it's in here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so here's another one that I had. So this one's pretty fun. So again, this is using the same dynamic paint approach. I'll go ahead and play this on repeat so you guys can see. So here's what's fun about this one. If you go kind of look at the top-down view, hide the camera real quick. You can see that what I'm really trying to do here is I'm trying to get these objects, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm trying to get these objects to kind of be our blockers, right, for our aerodynamics, like our kind of wind tunnel simulation. But you'll notice, like, if we look around, like, this is, like, pretty cool. We have several kind of thin strips with some loop cuts, and these are kind of going around our objects. It's not perfect by any means, but it is a lot of fun to watch. And this is just animated. I just animated all these together. But it's not bad, right? It's getting closer to kind of like what we're looking for. All right, now that I found that, let's see if we can find the other one. So again, this is similar approach here. Let's go ahead and go through the rest of them. Is it this one? No. Guys, I have too many files. Oh, is it this one? Oh, it might be this one. Oh, this was from our last live stream. Again, similar idea, right? We have these flow lines around our object. This was when we had an array of them. Pretty cool. And this is kind of like, I'm trying to show you guys my thought process on how this could be accomplished. Let's see. That's a smoke simulation. Ooh, this one might be good. Oh, okay, this was particle simulation. So this was a completely different approach. This is just your standard particle simulation. So what this is a particle emitter, right, with a collision. Pretty simple, right, where we have our flow lines. You can kind of see how that works. The only thing I don't like about this approach, I'll zoom in so you guys can see, I don't like that there's no like stickiness, right, to the particles. Like normally in a regular wind tunnel simulation, you'd see the particles flow over top of here and they'd probably hit the wing as well. Right here you can see they kind of just give up, right? They kind of stop here and then they just go this way, right? Which is cool. And this does look cool. You can kind of see there's a few stragglers down here, but I just don't think this is like an accurate enough simulation. And really there are softwares that are dedicated to these types of simulations out there. So I get that that's possible, but wouldn't it be cool if we could do it in Blender? And that's kind of my goal, is to figure out how would we go about doing that. This is a fun one though. And this is just your standard like physics simulator, right? This is your just particles. I think what I did is I took a couple vertices and I just duplicated them in edit mode, and then I sent those lines across. This is pretty cool. It's funny because people would want a tutorial on just this, but this is like so stupid easy to create that I'd rather create something more complex that I'm like super proud of. What is this one right here? It's Formula 1. This was for our client. I'm not really supposed to show this, but yeah, this was like going to be a Formula 1 smoke simulation. Let's go ahead and not show that, as I'm not supposed to. What else we have? This is our dynamic paint. So this is, again, another version of like something I'm trying to accomplish here. So this is dynamic paint with a color ramp, just kind of like your standard shader, right, with like a color ramp. And then what I did was I just kind of tied that to the height. So you can see the lower, or like right here we have the red, right, which is kind of like our high turbulence areas. And what's fun about this is if I take my empty and I go ahead and swap out my shape. Oh, am I baked? Is this baked? Hold on. I might be baked here. Let's see. Yep, I had a bake. I'm sorry. That's my fault. All right, so if I take my empty and I move, you can see that it'll update to the object that I'm throwing into the simulation. Let's try the plane so you guys can really see like kind of how this looks. And look at the detail. This one looks pretty cool. This is something I considered like selling, but I already went through the whole tutorial, right? You're setting up dynamic paint, You're kind of throwing in a custom shader here. To be honest, though, the more I think about it, I might just throw it up on Gumroad for $1. I mean, this is something that I already. So here's the funny thing about. I'll just talk about this real quick. When you make a shader and you show someone how to do it on YouTube, I think it gives you permission to still sell it, right? Because, okay, here it is for free, right? For the Blender community. Here's the tutorial. You have to put the work in, you have to build it. But then I still think you should be allowed to sell it. And I've had like arguments with people about this before, like, oh, well, it's not right. It's the Blender community, right? Everything should be free. But I do think part of it is like, well, I still had to figure out how to do this, right? So is it wrong for me to sell it if I have the free tutorial as well? Because then if for the lazy people who don't want to build it, they can go and buy the tutorial, right? Now I really like, I mean, look at this complexity down here. This is like, I find this really interesting. This may be the best, like this may be the best version of this. Let's go ahead and let's throw this shape in there and see what we get. We're going to get a very linear like reaction from this. You'll see there was some turbulence at first, right? Now, really what this is a subdivided plane with dynamic paint, but look at this, like the level of detail is ultimately determined by the subdivisions, really. But look at the turbulence down here. I mean, we can really study this. Now, this isn't necessarily physically accurate. In fact, it's probably not at all. But at the same time, we're getting those things that we didn't get before. So let's go ahead and let's throw the sphere in there. Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know. This might be the one. Like, I really, really like the way that this simulates something. Do I have a cube on here? Oh, I do have a cube. Hold on. Let me bring the cube in here so we can see. Because it's one of the important things is, I think when we look at this, like, we should see some heavy red right here, right? We should see that force of like, okay, it's getting caught right there. All the force is getting caught from the wind. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. And then there should be like very low resistance right here. And then it should kind of fade out, which it does. And yes, this is what it actually looks like, right? Like this is what it actually looks like. There's like a 3D version of this. But at the same time, we can break that illusion when we look at it from the top down. This is really a liquid simulation. But at the same time, if we think about it physics-wise, liquid air is a sort of like a liquid, right? There's particles that move. Like if I wave my hand through the air, I can feel that air on my hand, right? It's almost like I'm waving my hand through liquid, but instead of being liquid particles of H2O, it's nitrogen, oxygen, and I guess hydrogen, whatever else is in the air, okay? Some people who benefit from the free may want to reward with the money as a thanks. Yep, that's definitely true. So now here's what's really fun about this, right? We can go in here. Let's get out of X-ray mode. Let's turn our overlays back on. We can go in here, right, and we can take this object. We can extrude, right? And then I can slim this down like that, and then we can be like, okay, how is that going to affect our aerodynamics? Maybe I want this side to be extruded, right? And like maybe I want to scale that down like that, right? Maybe I just want there to be like one more extrusion here. Like, how is this going to affect our simulation? Well, let's find out. So now here's what's really interesting is, can we now make like this crazy like turbulent effect with some different shapes? Now here's what's interesting to me about this, right? We're still getting that red, which is expected up here. If I play this back, we're getting some like weird turbulent areas right here that we didn't get before. And I'm wondering how accurate this simulation really is. I do think like if we're gonna focus on one thing, because I'm all over the place, because that's who I am as a person, this would probably be the area I would focus in, is dynamic paint, because dynamic paint is like taking the guesswork out of us trying to like simulate particles, right? There's already particles, which is essentially just our vertices and our edges and our faces of the plane that we're simulating with. But here's something I'd really like to do. Let's go ahead and tab into edit mode. Let's highlight everything. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and Shift D, scale this down. Let's see what we get with something like this, because now we have that front barrier, and then it's going to have to flow around that and then back into our bigger object, Let me save this too so it doesn't crash on me. Interesting. So, let me try one more thing. Let's rotate this a little bit like, I want it to be like right here. So look, you can already see this is the start, right? Let's see what happens. Now, here's what I'm surprised. So like this is where I'm like, is this right? Right? So this is blocking the flow of liquid. So right here, like if we like draw a line right here, like all of this area here, I would expect that to have a different like gradient, right? I would expect there be more blue here. So I'm wondering now, is it my physics settings? Let's take a look in 3D view. Interesting. Okay, is this? Oh, okay. I see the problem. Okay, this is on me. This is scaled down so much. This should have a higher height. Okay, so look, if we look on the side view here, this needs to have a higher height. Let's go ahead and do that. Hold on. All right, now let's see if that affects our simulation. Let's see if I was right. Let's see if I was right. Is there going to be more blue here? No, I was still wrong. Okay, I thought maybe that would affect it. But either way, now we can kind of see how this would flow. Like, here's an example of like what I would hope to see. Like right here, instead of this straight line, I would really hope for it to be like sort of curved. Now, there is one more thing that I didn't really talk about. This plane right here is subdivided quite a lot. Let's take a look at how many subdivisions. I mean, that's a lot of subdivisions. What if we subdivided it even more? Or what if we just mess with our dynamic paint settings while we're playing this back? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take a look. Right now, my time scale is set to 0.05, so it's actually quite slow. If I set it to normal time scale, let's remember 0.05. If I set it to normal time scale of 1, this is what it would look like, right? It would be all over the place. And it's funny because that just completely breaks everything. So it was 0.05. Let's set it to 0.3. Let's see what happens. Okay. Interesting. So see how we're getting something completely different, but still like sort of physics based. Let's set it to 0.1, which is twice what we had it in the first time. Again, not what we want, right? What did I have? 0.05. Let's try 0.07. Huh. It is funny how these settings drastically will drastically change the simulation. I really wish that there was like more curvature here. And I don't know why it is. Let's see. Okay, spring is another thing. Spring is like how much it bounces back. So let's go ahead and do like 0.5. Oh, let's try 0.3. 0.05. Let's try the same value as our time scale. We might be getting somewhere with this. Again, this is like a big experimentation process. I love it. 1.5 for our smoothness. Let's try 4. That's overly smooth. Let's try 0.5. Ooh. Let's try 1. Not bad. Not bad. Again, you're getting a lot of like it looks too much like water here. So I'm going to go back to 1.5. Now, dampening is how fast it like dissipates back out. This would be 1, right? So with 1, you're going to get something like this, right? Now with 0.2, get something like that. I find 0 is fine. Really, the time scale is one of the most important things. Let's see. It's interesting. It really is interesting to see this. What do you guys think in the comments? I'd love to know your thoughts on this kind of like aerodynamic simulation. Time's at 10:24. We're doing well with time. You know what would be really cool is if we could convert the... Oh, I wonder if we could do that. If we could somehow convert the plane into curves with geometry nodes and kind of have these like curvature paths, that would be pretty interesting. I do also wonder here, if I just scale this up so much that it is like that, I just want to see what that would look like. Huh. See, now we're getting a completely different effect. I'm wondering why we're getting this. Hold on. Where is it? Yeah, where's that coming from? Now, okay, let's try the opposite. Let's scale it down so much that it's like barely touching the surface here. All right. That's interesting. So the scale of the object itself is also going to ultimately like determine the dynamic paint. That makes sense. You think it looks cool? Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, this is like this is one of those things where I want to see. All right, let's try. I'm going to try something else again. I'm going to go ahead and select this guy here. Shift D, rotate. Let's see what this does. So now here's my prediction. This I would like to see again blue here. Like I want to see that it's actually blocking the flow. It's still not for some reason. It might be my dynamic paint settings. Is it spring? Let's turn off spring. No. Let's turn off spring. Let's turn dampening to 0.4. Not quite. It's not quite doing what I expected it to do. Anybody else like confused? Like I feel like there's something missing here and I just don't know what it is. Smoothness is 1.5. We could set it to 3. Let's try 1. Oh wow. What did I have it at? Oh, 1.5. You know what would be cool is if turbulence affected our dynamic paint. That I would be really, really happy with. Let's see. 1.4. Okay, we got some time. We got about 15 minutes left. Thank you guys for sticking with it. I'm gonna play this. I just want to observe this for a second. What could be the other settings? There's really not many other settings except for the brush itself. The factor that it changes the waves, it's at 1 right now. If we did like 0.2, you can see it doesn't affect the waves as much. Interesting. Let's try 0.5. No. Clamp waves. What would clamping do? I don't really remember. If we do clamp waves 1, no, it doesn't really do anything. Type, depth change, paint source, mesh volume. It's not really changing much. Let's see, mesh volume, no. Velocity. All right, let's try velocity here. Interesting. There's some. I feel like there is more to this that I just truly don't understand. Let's see, paint color. No, that shouldn't change anything. Depth change versus obstacle. Oh, wait a second. Depth change. This is depth change. There's a lot of red. Hold on a second. There's a lot of red right here with depth change. And then if I do obstacle, there's not as much red. Now, how does that work? Oh. Huh, that's kind of interesting. Let's see. All right, now here's the test. Let's test it. Let's move this right here. Let's see what we get. Okay. So it's an obstacle with a factor of 1. There's a factor of 4. Oops, you can't go up to 4. 0.1. Huh. Guys, we might be onto something here. It looks like the flow is a plane rather than a volume. So there's no vertical turbulence. Yeah, no, you're right. And I'm wondering how can we add that vertical turbulence back? Okay, let's try another one though. I want to see what force does. Oh, force doesn't do anything. Reflect only? Oh, no. Let's try. Okay, so obstacle was pretty promising. Mesh volume, proximity, no. Mesh volume plus proximity? We'll just do mesh volume, that's fine. Okay, I don't see velocity multiply depth. Did that just do something? I can't tell if that did anything or not. Hard to tell. Replace color? No. Multiply alpha? I don't know what any of that does. This is pretty cool. Now let's go back to our dynamic paint settings. Smoothness, we'll do 3. I know this sounds weird, but I feel like that's starting to do something. Nah, maybe not. Let's do smoothness 0. Oh. Maybe not, maybe not. Smoothness 1. Okay, okay. Spring 1. 0.4. Nah, because like I'm looking for turbulence. We're not getting that. Looks really cool. I wonder how far you are from a physically accurate simulation. Probably pretty far. What I'm really looking for is here. Let's look something. I'm gonna look something up real quick. Aerodynamic simulation. Let's go to images. I'm just searching real quick. Yeah, like see, you know what's funny though with like something like this? That's not far off. That's not far off though from like kind of what we're doing. I am going to show you guys another cool way we can do this real quick. I'm looking through these. That kind of looks like what we're doing right now, a little bit. But see how it's more like smoky at the end? Like that's really ideally what I'm looking for, something like that. How do they do this? Like I don't really. There's some complex math going on there. Let's go ahead and do. Hold on. Come back to this. I don't love obstacle. I think depth change might have been the way. I don't know, guys. This is a tough one. What if we unsubdivide this? Let's try that real quick. Face. Where is it? Edge. Unsubdivide. All right, so we just unsubdivided it. I want to see. Oh, it's running a lot smoother, that's for sure. Oh my goodness, it's running a lot smoother. That was a lot of subdivisions, I guess, for it. Wow, I can't even begin to tell you how much smoother it's running. Oh, hold on. Maybe there was too many subdivisions? I don't know. Let's try and unsubdivide it one more time. You never know. You never know. I can't believe how much smoother it's. I mean, I guess I can. It makes sense. There's not as much subdivision. I wonder if it would work in real time if I move this. Still not getting like what I'm looking for here though. Oh. Oh, no. What do you guys think? Oh, sorry, I missed a comment. Apologies. Can the velocity run straight down instead of shooting it off at a 45-degree angle from the obstacles? So the velocity is, so actually I should probably show you guys this. This is really what's happening behind the scenes. The plane is moving towards the objects. Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that. Now there is one thing we could attempt. We could stretch. I want to see what happens if we stretch this out this way. I know it's going to sound weird, but let's just see. All right, so that's what happens if you stretch it out that way. What if you squeeze it in this way? I don't see much difference. What were you saying though? Yeah, so right now it's just a plane moving. We could try to make it move. I guess we could make it move less. That's the plane moving less. Should I upgrade to 4.3 because there are many projects ongoing in 4.2? I don't see why not. Yeah, 4.3 is nice. I don't know. It's not much different. There's just a lot of new nodes and there's like new stuff for I believe it's grease pencil. I watched an update video and there was some pretty cool stuff there. So it's definitely worth checking out. All right, what was the other thing I was gonna do? Although I'm like really, excuse me, really caught up on this one. See, like, look at what's happening here. Does everyone see what's happening here? Like, there's some things like colliding in a weird way. I really like that though. Like, I really like that that's happening. What speed are we at? This is 0.01. So again, oh, the other thing, so this is probably what you were looking for, whoever just made that comment. This is more of like the straight down view, right? This is the time scale being 0.01. This is 0.03. Let's try 0.02. There's so many factors that influence it. Like, I think just like the actual, like the idea of using dynamic paint for this is maybe the way to go though. Look at this. Look at this change right here that we're getting though. What would happen? Oopsies. If I took this, right? I just want to see. What do we think is going to happen here? Whoa, 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 whoa. Look at that. Look at that. That's interesting. See, what I don't understand is why is this still red here? Like, this should be blocking the flow of our, like, water or whatever. Bring our factor back up to 1. Should still be blocking the flow right there. You're like that? Yeah. I know. We're definitely like getting closer to something here. This is I just have a blast with this stuff. I could probably do this all day trying to figure out like how to make it look the way that I want it to look. Another thing that I want to show you guys is what is it called? Euler. I think it's Euclidean fluid. There it is, simulation. Here it is. So this is the video I watched, and this guy made a where is it? Here it is. Here it is. All right, this is kind of like what I'm going for here. See the way that the fluid like wraps around this and kind of like has some turbulence back here? That's kind of like what I'm going for. And I'm not sure how to get that, but that's what I want. See how, like, does everyone see that? I don't know. Hopefully you guys see that. That's kind of like what I'm looking for there. And then there's also this one. This one's fun too. But this guy coded this, right, in like HTML. You can kind of see the individual like pixels or boxes. But this is like, if I could accomplish this in Blender, whoo, wouldn't that be nice? And you can see that the velocity dissipates over time. Wait a second. Is there a way to animate the color ramp? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the fact that the color ramp is like always consistent. Maybe it needs to change. But if you could somehow animate that, like I think that would be really cool. Let's see. Here we go. The particles that don't impact the shapes appear to have weight or collision effects with the particles that are spreading out from their impact. I think that's why you're not getting the vortices you're looking for. Interesting, interesting. I really wonder, like how can this be possible? Oopsies. Let's go ahead and subdivide it one more time. So cool though. Like I want to make this work. I really do. There's a setting for it. There's a setting for it? What's the setting? You gotta tell me. You gotta tell me. Hold on. Format. Let's see if that fixes anything. No. Oh, guys, I'll be honest. I didn't see this substeps. Let's raise the substeps to 3. Hold on. I'm gonna raise it up to 10. Is that really a big difference? Let's jump it back down to 1. No, it just lags it. But I didn't even notice that there was substeps. Wow, look at that detail though. Unreal. Smoothness, let's do 2. Wow. Crazy how like you can just do this so easy on Blender. If you had the setting, I would be all for it. All for it. Here, I will show you guys what I've been able to. We have like 4 minutes left, but I'll quickly throw this together if I have time. All right, so look at this. Ready? This is gonna be our simulation here. I'm gonna make a very, very quick fluid sim. Okay, let's see. Fluid. This is gonna be our domain. Fluid domain. And then this will be our fluid flow. And it'll be liquid, geometry. Now we'll do inflow. No initial velocity. We'll add a sphere. I'm going to show you guys something cool. I keep of course, you know what I hate though? It should be adding, the default should be the mesh sphere, but whatever. All right, there's our sphere. We're going to make this a fluid effector. We're going to go back here to our domain, make it all. Now I just want to show you something real quick. Oh, I gotta make it mesh. Where's mesh? Oh, type gas. Yeah, we're gonna need liquid. There we go. All right, let's try this again. Mesh. Yep. 32 resolution. Let's try this one more time. What's going on? Why is it not letting me see what I gotta see? Domain liquid, effector, collision. Oh man, my stomach is hungry. Didn't eat breakfast today, guys. Big mistake. Flow source mesh, yep, use flow, inflow. Everything should be working. Where's our voxel size? Oh, you know what? Let's apply our scale. Sometimes that helps. Why in the world is this thing glitching out the way that it is? Sometimes quick liquid just works better. I'm sorry, I totally missed a comment there. I apologize. Hold on 1 second. I'll step away to look for it. Hey, thank you. Yeah, let me know. I can go back to that simulation. Am I dumb? Like, why is this not working? Oh, it's because my flow was too. I'm pretty sure it's because that box was. Yep, that's exactly why. Okay, so check this out. So this is what I was going for here. So notice how, see how this flows around our object? That is what I was going for. Now let's go ahead and do this. Let's scale this up like crazy. Scale this down. I'm going to make our voxel size 60. Now we should get something is like what I'm looking for. 60. Should be higher than that. We'll do 120. Bake. Yep. So see how it flows around, but it kind of like comes in like that? Like that is what I was looking for. Now here's what's really fun about these simulations. I'll go ahead and bump up the size to 200. I'll squeeze this in like that. I'll make it really thin. This and this. As long as it's not smaller than that. Yep, we're good. Let's go ahead and bake it. Now what's cool about this is it bakes pretty quickly because the domain is so thin. You started learning Blender a week ago. That's awesome. Welcome to the Blender community. It is a great place to be. All right, so that's pretty cool. We'll make it even thinner. Let's make it even thinner. So thin. Okay, and let's go ahead and make this 300 for our resolution. Okay, and let's bake this out. Oh man, we're about to be out of time, guys. We are about to be out of time. This was a fun live stream, though. All right. Once this bake is done, this might have to call it on this, guys. Might have to call it on this one. There it is. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So look at how... That's cool. All right, look at how it flows around, though. Something you guys probably didn't know you can do is you can actually show the vector display of, like, all of the particles, like this. Pretty cool, right? You can do fluid velocity, force. We'll do fluid velocity. You can also do streamlines, like that. But this is kind of like what I was looking for like an aerodynamic simulator. So you could get something that's more physically accurate with this. Like you could put a car in there, have the liquid flow around the car, and maybe you could just make a really, really cool shader, right, that works for this. Quick example, if I was to do this, I'm just going to name this whatever, even though I'm going over my streaming time here. Shouldn't be going over it, but I'll try not to be too long here. Shader editor. All right, so in our shader editor, I'm going to click on our fluid. So I'm just going to quickly give this an HDRI. All right, so for this like material, all you could have to do, check this out, we'll just do a mix shader. Mix shader, maybe this is what I'll do next time, so I'll go more into this. Transparent, right? We'll do a mix between a transparency and like a diffused. I'll just do a simple diffuse. Just like that. Now, the key here is to do a noise texture, right? Pop this in here. Color ramp, right? Now, here's the fun part. This is where it gets fun. Go ahead and do a texture coordinate mapping. And we'll just plug all this in as follows. And we'll go ahead and crunch the, what is it? The scale. There it is. See the scale? See how now we're getting something like that? Now, all we have to do is do an invert color. Plug our color ramp in. And if I did this right, now we have these transparent lines. Now, the reason they're so jaggedy like that is because of the resolution. Also try to shade it smooth. If this was subdivided, which we can do. Oh, that's solidify. Whoopsies. Generate subdivision. Blender's going to crash. Hold on. CFD time. Yeah, CFD is computational fluid dynamics for those who don't know. Pretty sure that's what it stands for. Did the subdivision work? Yep, see how these lines are a little bit better, but I am going to get rid of that. Now, here's what's cool. You could come in here and you could really like define, like, let's go, where is it? Normal. You can come in here, maybe do, let's try UV. Object, maybe. There we go. All right, so you could do object, and then look, you can now customize these flow lines. Maybe that's what I'll do next time is I'll actually make like a flow line simulator, but you'd have to adjust like the vorticity and the fluid settings to get the proper scaling of all this. But how cool is that you can now make these like flow lines, right? Here, I'll try to make this a little more intense. There we go. So look, now we have these like flow lines. They're not perfect by any means, but you kind of get the idea. Could be pretty cool. All right, I do have to go, guys. This has been fun. Just a quick recap. We went over aerodynamics. We went over like how to kind of simulate sort of a fake effect for these like wind tunnels. I think we had a lot of fun. Again, this was kind of just more of a random live stream. The original idea was not even any of this. It was actually, where is it? Hold on. I'm just not going to save this. The original idea was this other one, which was right here. And yes, we did go over this, but if you want the nodes, I'll just quickly like leave it up on the screen for you. These are the geometry nodes for the plane, which is subdivided. So there's your geometry nodes right there. Okay. And then your shader nodes are right here. Go ahead and zoom in on that. There's your shader nodes right there. Hopefully you can take a screenshot of that and get a little snip of that. Oops, I realize I'm in the way. Hopefully you can see all that. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that. If you guys want, try it out, see if you can improve it, and hopefully next time we will go ahead and get into more stuff just like this. In the meantime, guys, have a great day, and I will see you in the next live stream.